I keeping a list of things my BF wouldn't eat. It began as a practical document and end as evidence. I cook. Not professionally, not dramatically, just genuinely and well. My grandmother taught me before I was tall enough to reach the stove without a step stool, and somewhere in those early mornings watching her work I absorbed the understanding that feeding people is a form of love made edible. I have cooked for my family, for friends, for 2 different office potlucks that people still mention, for a neighbor going through chemotherapy who needed soft things that didn't smell too strong. I have never once had someone push a plate away and reach for their phone to order something else. Until Derek. The list started small. No mushrooms, which is fine. Mushrooms are divisive. No anything spicy, which limited things but didn't break them. No fish, no shellfish, nothing that came from water. Okay, no rice unless it was plain white with nothing touching it. No salad dressings except ranch. No vinegar of any kind. No citrus and savory dishes. Still manageable, I thought. I'm a patient person. I've raised a child with texture sensitivities, and I know how to work around a restricted palate without making someone feel like a burden. The problem was the list kept growing, not announced all at once. That would have been useful. Instead, it arrived incrementally, one dinner at a time. A new rule surfacing after I'd already cooked. He'd sit down, look at the plate, and say something like, "I forgot to mention I don't really do onions cooked into things," or "I had this for lunch," or "This is a little heavy for a Wednesday." Then he'd eat a few bites with the specific expression of someone enduring a mild medical procedure, and eventually get up and find something else. The something else was always the same. Fast food, eaten cold, ordered from his phone while I was still at the table. I made lasagna one Sunday. Real lasagna, the kind that takes 3 hours and fills the whole apartment with something that smells like safety. He took 2 bites and said it tasted a little off to him. I asked what that meant. He said he couldn't explain it, just not really hitting for him tonight. He ordered a burger. I stood in my kitchen afterward and looked at the lasagna, which was objectively excellent, and felt something I didn't immediately identify. Not hurt exactly. More like the specific fatigue of someone who has been trying to unlock a door for months and is beginning to wonder if there's a door at all. I called my mother that night, not to tell her anything specific, just to hear her voice. She asked how things were going, and I said fine, and she said you sound tired, and I said I'm okay, and she let it go because she knows when I'm not ready. The thing about being a capable person is that you can absorb a lot before you notice you're absorbing. I reorganized my cooking around his preferences without deciding to. I stopped making the things I actually loved because they contained something on the list. I told myself that for 8 months. My friend Georgie came for dinner in November, and I made roasted chicken with herbs and root vegetables and crusty bread, and she ate 2 full plates and said I was wasted on anyone who didn't appreciate this. She didn't know she was making a point. She thought she was just paying a compliment. Derek was there. He'd had 3 bites and ordered sushi, which he ate at the table next to us in a way that required him to never acknowledge the meal in front of him. Georgie watched this and didn't say anything until he went to check something in the other room. Then she looked at me and said, "How long has this been happening?" I said it's just how he eats. She said that's not what I asked. I looked at my chicken, which was genuinely perfect, and thought about 8 months of 4-bite dinners and cold fast food ordered from across the table, and the list that had never stopped growing, and the way I'd stopped making my grandmother's recipes. I broke up with him on a Tuesday. He said I was overreacting. He said he'd never asked me to cook for him. I said that was true, and also completely beside the point. He said a lot of other things that I listened to and then let go. The way you release something you've been holding too long. He moved out over a weekend. The following Sunday I cooked for myself for the first time in 8 months without consulting any list. I made my grandmother's braised short ribs with onions and red wine and every herb I own. I made roasted vegetables with vinegar and citrus. I made rice with things in it. I set the table properly, with the cloth napkins I'd stopped using because he found them fussy. And I ate every single thing I'd made without apology, and without monitoring anyone's expression. It took a long time. My daughter came in halfway through and climbed into the chair across from me and said, "This smells like your grandma's house." I said yes. She said, "Can I have some?" I made her a plate, and we sat there in my kitchen, in the good ordinary quiet, and I thought about all the meals I'd shrunk away from, and the list I'd adding to, and the 8 months of making myself smaller to fit inside someone else's limitations. Some people will eat everything you put in front of them. I'm done cooking for the ones who won't.